Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today, joining me, friend of mine, first time on a podcast. It's nice to shine a light on new people that are coming through. Very talented lady. We should be speaking at one of my events that I'm programming in Slovenia. She heads up Mina's agency. If everyone who will know people, Mina in the space. So Oana, I'm going to bring on to the show now. Welcome to the show, Oana.
Thank you so much, Danny. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yep, no problem. So this is obviously it's your first podcast, so no pressure. But today we're going to be talking. Today we're going to be talking about the audit process, like not just mastering your listings. There's so many nuances now with so many different tools that everyone's using, and everyone will have their opinion on approaches and stuff. But really, I think with listing optimization, what fits you and what route that you want to take, because there are a million ways to do different things. And so today we're going to look at some of the nuances, but you're going to take it from the top in terms of, we understand about feature benefits. We'll brush over those, but I think the target audience thing is often misplaced, and we'll get into a little bit on Cosmo and stuff a bit later. But without further ado, where would you want to start and kick this off from?
So you're perfectly right, Danny. Every day we have different launching strategies. You have a million articles out there that kind of like how you should clearly create a strategy for your product, whether you are already on Amazon or ready to launch on Amazon. And there are a lot of nuances and a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, right? So I want to kind of like get you through the process of how we do things at Trivium, and kind of get you some insights of getting your head up out of the KPIs for advertising only. Yes, advertising is important, but the process to getting you in crafting a strategy that is for your product in terms of different, aspects that you need to take into consideration and addressing the right shoppers is actually the key before even establishing goals.
Yeah, cool. So let's roll into it then. Let's start with feature benefits. Let's kick off from there. What do you want to cover on this part?
So definitely I would say that the first thing at all times is really, really important for you to understand the product, right? Whenever you get a product that you need to create a strategy for, is the key is to understand what are the features and the benefits. And again, it's super easy here to list all the ingredients, all the features that you have, all the benefits that you have for the product. And then you say, okay, but why is that actually important? Well, it is important from two big aspects, right? And I know you will definitely agree with me, Danny, but it's not only from the customer side of things and how I communicate with them, but also how Amazon is evolving. Because today we have a more sophisticated shopper, yes, but we do also have a more sophisticated algorithm that actually goes through your listings and reads all the information that you have over there. So understanding the product and what are, I would say, your strengths and your weaknesses in order to capitalize on those or even see the areas of improvement are definitely important. Before tapping into who's buying your product and why they're buying the product, right? Because at that point, you would go into, okay, so I understand the product and what I need to push to my target audience, but who's my target audience at this point?
Yeah.
Right. And it all comes down to, again, there are so many articles and so many discussions about how to leverage AI, for example. And that's a great example nowadays. I'm sure that you agree with me. And at this point, leveraging AI definitely is important because you would try to tap into who's the customer persona that is going to get on my listing and then they need to convert on, right? And at this point, I would say that it's definitely important for you to build a detailed list of what are the aspects that I need to point out to the shoppers that will influence not only my click-through rate, but also my conversion rate, right? And this will be the first link that I'm making in regards to going to the advertising side of things when correlating the shoppers and everything that's happening on the page to your advertising strategies.
Indeed. So let's break out some of the stuff that you're doing in terms of brand analytics when pertaining to target audience. Let's go through and dissect some of these.
Yeah. So this, I would say, would I would split them into sections, right? If you're new to Amazon, of course, you don't really have data, or you have some data from your website, from your D2C, right? That we usually ask, and we want to understand, like, the percentage between, for example, male and female.
Yeah.
But it all gets easier once that you understand the shopping behavior on Amazon and how you tap into the brand analytics, especially into demographics, right? Because at that point, you would get more insights into the income of your shoppers, or male versus female. And I would say that here many brands would say, okay, I already know who or for who my product is, right? And let's make an example. I know you many times you utilize the example of a beard oil.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're selling a beard oil, at that point, it would be easy. Like, okay, you create a shopper persona. I know who my target audience are, right? Are men that are trying to take care of my beard. Well, you will be surprised that many brands that have, specific male products, you will see a very healthy percentage of women buying those
As
products
gifts as well. The gifts for their partner.
as gifts, right? So in that case, it would be, okay, so I'm not only talking to men, but I'm also talking to a female that it's buying the product, for a man in their life, for example, right? Either the father, their husband, their boyfriend. So it comes down to understanding those very small details that you will then utilize into your advertising, but most importantly, into the optimization of your listings. And of course, there's no secret sauce behind that. You would always need to A/B test. I'm always for the A/B testing. I'm always for let's test and see whatever works. But if you have a male product, introducing, maybe an image or a section where you talk to the female percentage of your shoppers might actually help increase your conversion rate. And that's something that you would need to test and you would need to understand. And it comes down ultimately from pulling the informations that you already have available in brand analytics, for example.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you do image quality assessment. Let's break that out a bit, because obviously one of the biggest things is main image, not above everything else. Obviously, product's number one, because you got a shitty product. Doesn't matter how good the image is. Eventually, the reviews are going to spill in, and you're going to get shitty reviews. So, all comes back to the product. But obviously, the way that you present the product, main image, click-through rate, all play important roles, as long as the click-through rate ends up leading to a purchase, of course. To break this down, what do you do in terms of image stacks, what you're evaluating for, etc.?
Absolutely. So you are right. If you don't have a quality product, sooner or later that will come back to you, right? But many products are still out there on Amazon that are great products in terms of quality wise, even price wise, but their images are not that great. So at the end of the day, what you need to understand is that shoppers cannot see your product unless they already come to Amazon, because maybe they know your product from outside of Amazon and they come to Amazon focused on buying the product. But I would say, what's the percentage when it comes to that? So focusing on the media assets, and then you mentioned, main image, that definitely is very, very important when it comes to your click-through rate, right? But once that you actually get the shopper on the page, secondary images, the brand story section, and premium A+. I'm not even mentioning A+. I want to be honest. I know that, again, many listings out there still have only the A+, and we know that Amazon mentions that in average, when you pass from normal A+ to the premium A+, you get to see an increased conversion of about 20%. So that is definitely important, because the way you engage with shoppers and how you get to present your product definitely have an impact on the conversion, on the KPIs that you should focus the most. So when it comes to assessing, I would say the media assets, right? You would take a step back, right? So it would come from, okay, what did I understand from my analyzing the product and analyzing my target audience, right? And is it there? Like, of course, quality wise, is it a good, high resolution image, everything like that? But then it comes down to, am I clearly talking to my shoppers based on what I already saw on the previous two steps, right? And that's why I actually started with understand the product, understand your shopper, and then it goes to what do I have on my listings? because you may find the fact that one of my strengths are not present on those media assets. And that's a very big problem if you think about it. Again, from a shopper's perspective, because they might be looking for that specific feature and it's not clear for them, right? But then it also comes down to Amazon making the matches between the search and the product, and you might find yourself not being visible enough because of lack of expressing and presenting those features correctly.
Yeah. Well, there's also the fact that do you understand your customer objections, and are you finding a visual way to represent the objections? Because every product would have an objection or multiple objections of some kind. And I think that is the biggest struggle. Is I see a lot of image decks, they run out of ideas after about image number 3. They have a good crack at image number 1, and then they'll come up with a couple of action shots, they've put some effort in, and then you start to see the creeping of the duplicate shots and stuff like that. And going back to your thing, I'm going to say something that's probably a bit more controversy added to it, is if you're able to meet the customer objections and really get that across visually in your images, there will be less scrolling, so they may not even get down to the content further down in the page, which obviously you mentioned A+ and premium content and stuff. You want to try and sell the shopper before they get there, because there's also the scrolling past the buy box, etc., etc. Do you see what I mean? So I think the emphasis should go there. Or you often find is the repeat images. They try and use similar ones or different angles of the same shots in their A+, like running out of ideas. And I think images are really important to visualize your customer objections. And all the testing that I've done is, when I say to people this, because a couple of people have said, I'll take that statement and run with it. And my definition is, shoppers are not looking for you to get your brand across on Amazon with just some nice lifestyle shots and a few action shots. What they're looking for is beautifully illustrated online user manuals with a visualization of their customer objections. I think if you can get that right, you've got a winning ticket, or at least you're on your way, because often in that short time frame that people make a decision, like whether it's an emotional one or not, because it's okay writing emotional copy, but can you capture their imagination with the image? A lot of people use these comparisons. So ours is better, and it's a text comparison rather than the visual comparison. And I'll give an example of GSM. So like the thickness of paper, blankets, and various different materials, right? So if you say your GSM is 320 and everyone else is 180, 250, 280, or whatever, the best way to represent them is to show them your 320. Above that, separated, we're pointing towards the 250 and then the 150. What are you expressing there? You're telling them why GSM matters. As an example, that is a visual representation of a customer objection to be met, because your customer objection in that case may be a price. And the price might mean, because you've got 320 in terms of your GSM, which is a thicker, better quality, that is one of your objections, because someone's paying $9.99, $15.99 and $24.99 for yours, because yours is 320. Then you got the 250, 180. And I think a lot of time can be spent and invested. Understand your customer objections and then find a way of meeting them. And then what you do down the page is still important, right? Still very important. Brand story, get it all across if that's your thing, bearing in mind that most of you are just a brand, respectfully. You are an Amazon brand, a brand that sells on Amazon arbitrary keywords. You're not Nike. 80% of your sales are not coming off of Amazon. So I do understand the brand story thing, and I'll back you on it. But I think meeting your customer objections goes beyond the brand story, in my opinion.
100%. That's why I mentioned like main image to get the hook, and then the secondary images.
Yeah.
We know shoppers don't even, like majority, let's say, of the shoppers don't even read the bullet points, right? They don't go to, they want all the information on the secondary images, right? And if you have a which is indicated, a video at the end of those images, which will, I would say, reduce the bounce off rate, right? Because if you get the shopper interest, they might scroll down to find out more, okay? And they should get more from the brand story in the A+, but definitely the focus should be on the secondary images. And why is that, right? Like at the end of the day, if you think about it, Amazon wants a better shopping experience at a faster purchase decision, right? And I don't know how accurate is this, but a couple of years ago, I know that Amazon released at one point that a shopper makes a purchase decision in 2 minutes or less, right? Which is quite fast. And I feel that with everything that's happening right now, with the common sense of the Cosmo framework and even Rufus, they are trying to reduce that drastically. So we should be able to engage the shoppers better, because otherwise our bounce off rate will just increase, and therefore you will get clicks, a lot of clicks, but a very low conversion rate, which is not profitable at the end of the day.
Well, the other thing is not necessarily making, they'll make assumptions. So normally 0.5 of a second, like when you meet someone, we all make a judgment. It comes from a safety mechanism in terms of our biology, right? So you look around, you go, they look safe, they're okay. So let's not talk about judgment about what they look like, what they wear, etc. But there comes that split second in terms of judgment. Now, we can't talk about Amazon because they don't necessarily have the data. But if you look at your own third-party website that you have, normally your decision-making is done within about 5 to 10 seconds before they bounce. So you need to have a very fast processing speed so that the page loads extremely fast, which Amazon does, right? Hence AWS and everything they're built on top of.
Yeah.
And so generally speaking, Amazon is like, considering the scale and everything else, their pages load like they're razor sharp. They raise really fast, right? So if you imagine you've got about 10 seconds to get over their imagination, in that you've got to take out some of the things like page load time and issues with buffering, etc., etc. But generally, it's normally within 10 seconds the decision is generally acquired to be made. So maybe what they're talking about is the shopping time before adding to cart and exiting purchase, right? Maybe that's the 2-minute time frame. But the decision,
that's the 2-minute time frame from the moment that they generate the search. So
right.
you go on Amazon,
from the search. Not from land on the page and go, oh, I like that, I'm going to buy it.
Absolutely
right,
not. That's why I said it's super fast, because 2 minutes from the moment that you generate the search and then you go through all the results, on the page, taking into search how many results you get, that is quite fast. 2 minutes or less is quite impressive. And again, I have a feeling that they are trying to reduce that. So definitely visuals in the secondary images is something that everybody needs to pay attention to.
Okay, what about this? Moving on a little bit now, review analysis. That's what you're doing there.
So reviews, I'm not going to go too deep into reviews, but I do want to underline the importance of having healthy reviews on Amazon, right? And making an analysis of what shoppers like and don't like about the product. We do see a direct correlation when it comes to reviews and ranking, but most importantly, it comes from a shopper's trust perspective, right? We know that if you hit 3.5 stars, your conversion rate most likely is going to be affected. So trying to understand what are the pain points and what is it that your shoppers maybe don't truly understand about the product, that can be a weakness that can transform into an opportunity. And I will give you more insights about that when it comes to a SWOT analysis, right? Because you will put everything in there at the end. And what I want to mention, I liked your example about visually making comparisons, right? And think about the same, it can come to size charts, right? And I saw that over and over again. Like, whenever you have a product that requires a size chart, you just put a size chart over there and you expect shoppers not to see that. What does that result in? Bad reviews and high rate of returns, right? So you can find a way to visually represent the size chart or visually help the client understand what is the I would say the variation that they need to go for, can have an impact on the reviews, of course, the star rating that you get, and of course on the return rate.
Yeah. I was going to say, now you're bringing up size chart, because I've got a presentation I've got to do soon. There's a German listing that done a very good size and weighting, right? So basically it's a cooler bag, right? So what they've done is to show you the size. So it's 30, what was it? It was 30 litres and 17 litres. So it shows you two different bottles. And then what they've did was they've included different items to carry on the weight of those. So, for instance, this table provides a visual representation of how many bag can hold. An example. So they were using apples, cans, bottles, and food containers. So you'll see the apple, it can have up to 8 on the 30 litre, and then it can take 30 cans, small cans of like fizzy pop, and then X amount of 1 litre bottles of water. So it's a really good way of representing it in an interesting way. Yeah. So a lot of size charts can be quite boring. You know, this one is whatever 5 inches bigger than this one here, which is 25 inches bigger than this one here, and it's like, yeah, great, they're sizes, but how do you visually represent them? So can you find of interesting ways? So again, 30 litres and 17 litres, they've put it into a chart on this screen. And let me see if I can bring it up, actually. It's probably better just to, let me see if I
can. That would be amazing.
See if I can bring this up on the screen, because I think it's a clever idea.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I was referring, finding ways that it's easy for the shopper to understand the size, the weight, how they can clearly utilize it, rather than just, putting the numbers over there, which might not be relevant to majority of them.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so this is off a listing over in Germany. But you can see at the bottom part of the chart, they're showing you the sizes of the bags, which is great.
Of course.
Then at the top, they're showing you the 30 litre and the 17 litre, what you can actually hold within inside of those. And these are products that are relevant to what you would use in a cool bag anyway. I just thought it was a very good idea to come up with, because everyone will do the bottom half of the chart, but they're not got the imagination to come and do the top half, is my point, so.
Exactly. And this has a direct impact, again, on the returns, because I might purchase the product and have a different opinion on it. I wish it would have been, bigger or smaller, or it doesn't fit all the items that I want it to fit in. But at the same time, it can also have an impact on the reviews that you have and the star rating, right? Which is, again, both from an algorithm standpoint, because all the points, like if you think about it, everything on Amazon is important for how Amazon recognizes your product, but also on the shopper side of things when it comes to building trust for your audiences.
Yeah, I think the other thing with reviews as well, no matter how much optimization you do, if everyone's got 4.3 to 4.7 and you've got 3.9 to 4.0 as an example, no matter main image optimization, you could get Johnny Ives from Apple to design your main image. Unless you move the needle and find a way of getting them reviews sorted, it doesn't matter what you do to the listing. So I think reviews are going to obviously take precedent over many things. If you are expiring in terms of your review count and going lower, that is going to be a massive problem for conversion rate. And the only needle mover is to get more reviews to increase the rating. So
more reviews, and as you increase the reviews, it also needs to align with what the issue was, because if you just get to sell more but the issues have not been addressed or solved, it will not really lead to anything.
Absolutely. Let's go into the SWOT analysis now.
So I would say that this is my favorite part, right? Understanding, again, it for me, when we audit the listing, it almost feels like a journey, right? You have a starting point, and then you get to the point where, okay, let me put on paper actually everything that I've learned, right? From understanding my competitors, from understanding my product, understanding the market, understanding my shoppers. And at that point, it gives you an opportunity to lay down, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? The opportunities and threats, right? So it will give you more insight of how you would need to work on what you need to work first. And of course, at that point would be the weaknesses, right? So again, an example here would be either addressing a wrong audience, right? That can be a weakness that can easily turn into an opportunity. Or how do I take insights from a wrong size chart, right? One of my weaknesses is maybe a high return rate. How do I transform that into an opportunity rather than being a weakness? So it all comes down to pulling all the information that we have until now and putting it on the listing. A very, very important thing that I want to mention, Danny, is whenever you do the SWOT analysis, you would need to also include your positioning on the marketplace, right? That's very, very important when it comes to comparing your product to your direct competitors. And why do I mention direct competitors and not the competitors in your niche? Because at the end of the day, no matter how crowded or less crowded your category is, you will always have products that are not a direct match for you. And that is either from a price perspective or a features perspective, right? You need to understand that comparing yourself to the bestseller might not always work.
Yeah.
Right?
I gave you an example earlier on this, is that I know no one will do, but a good example, let's say if you're selling trainers, you can't do a SWOT analysis up against Nike. You're going to get smoked.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But if you're, say, you're a supplements brand, I know your agency does a lot of supplements. I know Mina's a big fan. We ain't. Yeah, I don't really like supplements, but yeah, someone's got to take them on, right? Where there's money, there's muck. There's a lot of shit goes on in that world. But we've had clients, and we still got some clients that do supplements. But the perfect example would be with the SWOT analysis. Let's say you're GNC, right? I call them the as seen on TV brands, but you're the Amazon brand who built your brand on Amazon. You're doing millions a year, but you don't have the footfall of the brick and mortar store or the power of the brand that GNC has. So your goal really is to be the best on Amazon brand and forget about GNC. And it doesn't mean you're weak or you don't have ambition. You just got to remember you can't be fucking deluded as well, because you're going to get smoked.
That's your business model.
Yeah. So basically being realistic about your SWOT analysis, if you're going up with GNC and them likes, or there's some kind of brands, that got famous doctors behind them, who've got a social media following of 5 to 10 million, again, you're going to get smoked, right? So it's important to be realistic. Your goal should be being the best on Amazon brand and beat out that competition, because that is your playing field, and then work your way up. But in the very beginning, be smart with your SWOT analysis, or you just end up running away into delusions.
Exactly. That's what I mentioned, including all the information that you have at that point, and then understanding where you are positioned and where your direct competitors are positioned. Not the bestseller, not a competitor that, as you mentioned, not Nike, that you can't compare yourself to, but you're actually direct competitor, right? And think about it like this. Okay, in terms of the features, in terms of the pricing, but also in terms of the right audience, right? If I find myself and a competitor addressing the same audience, I do want to understand where they are positioned, and I do want to understand what they are doing in terms of maybe getting a higher percentage of the market share than I am.
Indeed. So where do you want to go next? As we start to come to the end to wrap up now?
I would say that at this point, you have all the information needed for you to actually craft a strategy. And at this point, we go into the nitty gritty of the advertising. So you can look at your KPIs, you can look at your goals. And I would stop here just a second. And again, based on all the information that you have in the SWOT analysis and your positioning, again, establishing realistic goals would be the key. What is your budget? Where are you placed? And where you want to, I would say, where is your target? What is your goal in terms of where you want to find yourself 6 months, a year from now, in terms of positioning and, as market share? But definitely at this point, it's crucial to establish all the KPIs and even start crafting, your strategy in advertising. And one key point that I would like to stop upon, and I know, again, this is not something new and we're going to the basics, but this actually always works. You need to understand whether you are scaling or optimizing for profit, because trying to do both, especially on the same product or especially at the same time, can lead you to disaster, I would say, right? So establishing realistic expectations in terms of the KPIs that you want to hit. It's either you want to go for more visibility, grow your awareness on Amazon, or you want to optimize for profit. At that point, the sketching of how will your advertising structure be like. And again, here it goes back to keeping it simple, the basics.
Yep.
Always craft a campaign structure that you can optimize thoroughly and you can micromanage, right? So having control over everything that happens within your advertising console, because again, we are going towards a more sophisticated algorithm in terms of everything that's happening and the changes that we are seeing. So it is very important for you to make sure that you have your hands on advertising at all times in the positioning that you are showing. And also here I mentioned, utilize, there are a ton of tools and softwares out there. So make sure that while you create and optimize, you of course also track your positions and keep an eye on the reporting.
Yeah, indeed. So what's the best way that people can reach you?
I would say 100% LinkedIn would be the fastest way. But of course, if anybody is interested in finding more about Trivium and what we do at Trivium, going directly to the website.
Cool. Do you want to give out your full spelling of your name? So what people want to reach you on LinkedIn?
Yes. So it's actually Oana, Oana, Pădurariu. So that I'm Romanian. I know you already know that, but I wanted to mention I am based in Italy, but I'm Romanian. So
that's right,
it would be Padurariu, but it's actually spelled Pădurariu with the A, Romanian A.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Oana, obviously I'll be seeing you at the weekend. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Any questions, don't forget, hit her up. She's on LinkedIn. You can reach out to her from there. I'll mention a bit more about the Slovenia gig for those in the Nordics in the next couple of weeks. But there's a gig that we're doing. I'm programming for a company over in Slovenia. They wanted to get Amazon more involved in terms of Amazon in the region, in the Nordic regions. And they reached out and said, will I do the programming and for attracting people? So it's quite a basic level, but there should be some good networking and stuff. So as soon as I have a little bit more information, I'll also let people know about that in case people that are listening are local and want to attend. Apparently it's a week-long event, but it's all like the broader commerce. So they would see Amazon obviously as a channel, but very few people use it. But I think it's like 20,000 people will pass through there, and they're all brands in that area, but they just don't use Amazon. So they're trying to create an attraction there. But yeah,
I think it's actually the first year that they have an Amazon Day.
That's right. Yeah. So it is their first one to see how that works. But yeah, the whole point of me mentioning that is that I've booked you. Jana will be coming over, Jana Krecic, and then there's Ben Leonard. Vincenzo will be coming, and who else is there? I'm missing a name now, I think, but I'll let people know. No, I will be speaking, but I'm sure I've missed some, but I'll do a formal announcement on that and sort out people some passes. I'll get some free tickets for people to maybe attend if they're in the area. All right, without further ado, I'm going to sign off. Thank you again, and I'll be back here next week. Melissa will be back here with the PPC Ad Talk Show tomorrow. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.